Today we have a very interesting question, and one that, although the answer to it is a bit of a mixed bag, I always jump at the chance of answering this question. Hi there, my name is Max, also known as M. Kieran. I do writing advice and inspiration twice a week here on YouTube, over at youtube.com/Mr. Kieran. Let's go. You know who I am, you know what's going on, let's dive right in. I take questions from the comments down below, and I recently got a question from a viewer just like you. And the meat and potatoes of their question was very straightforward. They asked me, Max, does writing get easier with time? And in their question, they went into detail about their struggle with writing, how sometimes they just stare at a page for a long while and the words don't come to them. The struggle of looking for ideas for their stories and for characters and for things to happen with those characters in those stories. And of course, other issues like writing for prolonged periods of time. So of course, it is fitting to find ourselves back at this place, this situation, asking the question that no one likes to ask: does writing get easier with time? The answer to that, I think, is not quite so straightforward, because I think the answer to that is yes and no. Writing, I think, is made of two immediately different elements. There are the mechanical aspects of writing, and then there are the creative aspects of writing. The mechanical aspects of writing are things such as writing for a prolonged period of time, maintaining an organized outline, or keeping your story organized in some sort of mechanical fashion, whether it is pages or files on your computer. Organization is a skill, and if you're gonna be writing a book, you're gonna eventually have to develop that skill. And yes, there are those mechanical things, such as actually having to write with your hands for a long time, or type on your computer for a very long time, and maintaining good posture, and taking breaks and stuff like that. That's all mechanical stuffs. The actual mechanical nature of writing. There's also the creative side of writing, which is finding ideas, and more importantly, the most important really, translating those ideas from mere thought into words on the page. So with that in mind, let's review the question. Does writing get easier with time? I mean, Max, you have written like half a dozen books. I mean, I've published half a dozen books, but I have way more books that I haven't actually published. Does writing get easier with time? I mean, Max, aren't you writing a book right now? Is it easier than the first book you wrote? And I think that the answer is yes and no. I would probably underline the no, but we'll get there. The mechanical aspects of writing, writing for prolonged periods of time, organizing my writing, and discipline, by which I mean the act of committing your time to your craft and making sure that you do excel in the time that you have, because we all have limited time. And discipline is also very important. I think that those elements, the mechanical elements, have definitely gotten easier. That's a thing, that's just mere practice over time. You know, the more time that you spend writing, the less time you spend making those little mistakes. You learn how to organize your writing effectively after writing a couple books or two. You also learn how to stage the processes, especially if you have gone through the revision process multiple times. I have my own personalized checklist of the things that I look for in every revision pass, and I didn't start with that. I developed that, I'm pretty sure, I think after like I finished Secret Name Sophie, which is the third book that I published. So again, those mechanical things, yeah, I think they do improve over time, and I think that that's just the natural element of you doing something for so long that you recognize the small little mistakes and you look for ways to cut those corners and to save all that time. That right there, I think, is just that's just time. Putting time into those things will help you learn that. And although it may not feel like it sometimes, over time you will have developed a better discipline to just respect writing time. And even though the words may not come to you, hint, 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 you're still sitting down there and you're showing up, and that right there is important. And also the element of not being discouraged just from a lack of words sometimes. The discipline to sit down, respect the writing time, and excel within that limited window of time. And now, the big bad wolf of the conversation. Does the creative side of writing get easier? No. That does not get easier. I've said this before and I'm gonna say it again. Every single book you write is a completely different beast that requires different things of you. And I think that unless you've written like hundreds of books and have explored every kind of story imaginable, it seems unreal. I'm saying it and it sounds ridiculous. Because every story is different, and every protagonist is different, and the struggle is different. Even though we can squint our eyes and look for patterns, it's still a different story, told from a different point of view, with a different outcome. And sitting down and looking at the blank page and feeling that immediate fear, that sense of despair, at seeing the wide emptiness, that doesn't really go away. And I know that it discourages a lot of people to hear that, but hold on with me, okay? Let me take your hand and we'll follow through together, okay? I think it's an unrealistic expectation to think that one day you're gonna get up and then you're just gonna write books carelessly with no problem, and that no issues will ever come up, and that you'll just crank out novels left and right. That doesn't really happen. I don't think that really happens, because the struggle against the blank page is always torture. And especially if you have read the memoirs of your favorite writers and authors, that you will learn through their words and their experiences that they too struggle when they come upon the blank page. Because the process of coming up with ideas for stories and characters and situations for them to be in, and not only that, but also transcribing the thoughts we get, the inspiration we get, and translating them into words on a page, one by one, that's not a mechanical task. That's a creative task. Because every story is different. And every protagonist is different. And every narrator is different. And the events that unfold are different. And our stories test us in every possible way they possibly can. There's this kind of unspoken expectation that once you have done it, once you have published a book, or once you have seen the process all the way through, suddenly the barrier, the fog wall that was before your mind is now lifted, and now you can truly write with ease. That's silly. That does not exist. The struggle before the blank page is the same for everyone, and whether you have published a dozen books or you're just writing your first one right now, the mechanical aspects of that, whether it is writing for a very long time or keeping things organized, that gets better, because you learn how to do it better. But I think that you cannot learn to just dive into the story better, because every story is different. And yes, there are things that I've said before in the past in other videos that you learn to let go of control, and that helps. Letting go of control helps a lot. But you still have to transcribe those words. And I'm not putting up this video to discourage you. You know, because I know that if you're looking at the blank page and you feel terrified because the words are not coming, and then you become self-conscious about the words not coming, and then you go down this spiral, I want to remind you that you're not alone in that struggle. That struggle is a struggle that every writer faces. And I know that you may not believe me, but it's true. That particular part right there, that fear, on the very first page of a new story, that right there, that doesn't go away. And I'll tell you now, with honesty, as blinding as red hot steel, that I feel that doubt, that hesitation, every time I start a story. I feel it. It's there. It's always present. But that's part of it. And I recognize it. And when I find myself on the very first day of a new project, and we all know that's the worst one, building the momentum is the worst part. But when I find myself in those moments, I remind myself that I'm not alone. And I've been through this. And the beginning is always the worst part. At least for me. That's why I push to get through the first chapter as quickly as possible. Ignoring what I may look like. Ignoring what it may sound like. Ignoring if I made mistakes or forgot to describe things. Because I did. Of course I forgot to describe things. I always do. But I pushed through that. But that right there is not a creative shortcut. It's a mechanical shortcut. The sooner we get through the first chapter, the sooner we can build momentum. And it's always scary. But we push through. And once you build momentum, that momentum keeps pushing you. I have a vlog coming up on Sunday, talking about good writing days. So, to my dear viewer, and to all of you out there, who may be feeling a little bit of distress right now. Because I'm not making this video to discourage you. I want to inspire you. Because that fear you feel when you look at the blank page. Everyone feels that. Don't you think for 2 bloody seconds right now that because someone has published 10 books, suddenly they look at the blank page and they go, yep, I know exactly what's gonna go on here. No problem, easy. I'm gonna clock out early today. Oh man, writing is so easy. No one does that. But if you can get over that hurdle, if you can push through and start filling that page with words, kid, you can do anything. And that right there, that's fact. That power is the power that finishes books. And finishes a lot of books. So, get that first page filled up as quickly as possible. Don't give a damn about what it looks like. Fill it up, build momentum, keep going. No matter what it looks like, no matter how terrible you think it may be, get those words onto the page and keep on writing, okay? Okay, I hope this video helped, and I hope that if anything I gave you another point of view. Writing is hard. And I think it's a flawed idea to think that someday it's gonna be so easy that you will do it effortlessly. And you will do it so easily that you won't even think about it. That's not how it works. Creative endeavors don't work like that. Anyone out there who is skilled in other fields, whether it is music or art, can tell you that you may have the mechanical knowledge of how to draw, but putting that together and mixing it with your creativity, that right there is the hardest part. It's not always mechanical, it's the creative part that is the hardest, and the one that we can't really master. Again, I hope this proved insightful, and I hope that if anything I gave you another point of view. Writing is hard, no matter what, but that's okay. Because again, if you can get through this, you can get through anything. Alright? Okay. Keep on writing, writerly friend, keep on writing. And now, as we're rolling to the formal outro, I want to let you know that I take questions from the comments down below. I took this question from a viewer just like you. So if you want an answer, and maybe get featured in a video, let me know in the comments down below. Also, haven't mentioned that I have a Twitter account where I post about writing advice, inspiration, what I'm up to, and just silly conversations with you guys and polls. Then consider following me on twitter.com/MrKaren. And also, the most important of them all, patreon.com/mkaren is the #1 place to support me and what I do. If you pledge $1 a month, that is $1 a month, you get to watch my videos a week in advance. So if you want to live in the future, live in the world of tomorrow, or rather in the world of next week, if you're all caught up and you're like, Max, I need more videos, pledge $1, just $1. And you can watch next week's videos right now. You can also get a bunch of cool things like signed copies of my books, early access to my ebooks, exclusive access to my super duper secret podcast, and of course, my physical writing scene delivered to your doorstep every single month, and shoutouts. Consider please checking out my Patreon page, patreon.com/mkaren. But now, shoutouts. The following people here are making this channel possible and are giving me that consistent support that I just means the world to me, and I really appreciate it. So thank you to every single one of you. Thank you so much. And now, on the end screen, I want to let you know that there should be 4 things on the screen right now. A button with my pixel face you can click on to subscribe if you haven't already. Hi there. I hope you like my stuff. I hope that I can give you some advice. I do vlogs on Sundays, in case you didn't know. Also, a big button to check out the playlist with over 300 writing advice videos. That's a lot. That's a lot of videos right there. And of course, a button to my Patreon with the rainbowy kind of pea-looking sign thing. It's a weird one, okay? Don't worry about it. And of course, last but by no means least, a link to my other YouTube channel with my best friend Kitty, where we play games, we do anime content, and we are very, very, very silly people. Okay, so as always, dear writerly friend, though writing may be hard, remember that we are all on this road together. It is equally hard to you, the beginner, and to who you may think is master. There are no such thing. They're just a beginner like you are. Before the blank page, we're all equal. And if you can get over that, kid, you can do anything.